Hi, Jessica with week 20, oh my gosh, week 29 update. I can't believe it. So the last update that I did was at week 22 and that 7 weeks went by really fast. Let me tell you. It was just a big blur, honestly. So much has happened. My intention was to do this week by week, and I would love to try and do that. I don't know if it's realistic or not. Like, things just keep getting faster. Gracie, things just keep going faster and getting more pressed as time goes on, because I'm in my 3rd trimester now. Today marks week 29 for me. Next week I'll be, of course, in week 30, which just makes everything so real. The thought that I could have my daughter 8 weeks after that, just 2 short months after that, I guess there's not a lot of difference between 10 and 8 weeks, but when you start going from double digits to single digits, I can't even fathom that. Anyway, this is going to be an update for week 23 through 29. I'm going to try and speed through it because I don't want this to be forever long. At week, I believe it was 24, I had to take a trip to the hospital. I went to use the restroom, and it was about 12 o'clock at night, and I saw, when I wiped, there was just bright red blood all over the tissue where I was wiping. And I had come from laying in bed, so I went back to put some pants on so I could call the midwife. And when I looked at my bed, our sheets are white, and there was a large circle of bright red blood where I had been laying. So I wasn't cramping, there were literally no other symptoms, but it was scary. I've always been told if you see bright red blood to go to the hospital. And I had been having some pelvic pain that day. Like, it's almost like you can feel your cervix kind of stretching. And so anyway, I had, some people call it lightning crotch, I had sharp pains in my lady regions that day. They of course told me to come in to labor and delivery that night and speak to the doctor who was on call. And so I did that. Again, this was 24 weeks. I went in, they monitored me. By the way, I had checked on Tennyson before I left because of course we have the fancy fetal Doppler that Regina gave us. So I checked her, and her heartbeat seemed to be fine. I didn't necessarily feel her moving, but her heartbeat was totally fine, so I did tell them that. Anyway, I went in and they did several exams on me where they, just kind of examine the whole area. They make you cough to see if additional blood comes out. Additional blood did not. They kept me hooked up to the monitors to check on Tennyson and check to see if I was having any contractions for approximately an hour. And because nothing seemed to be progressing, they diagnosed it as possibly a blood vessel that had burst, and that was the cause for the blood. And so then they sent me back home. I tried really hard to be mindful and not panic, which the fetal Doppler did help with that. I was looking online, and if we had not been gifted one, I would fully recommend investing in that if you're kind of on the fence about it. They're around $50, and it's so worth it. Sometimes I just don't really feel Tennyson moving all that much, and so it's really helpful to be able to check on her, just whenever I don't feel her being as active, so that I can have some peace of mind. Anyway, that's what happened. I haven't had any spotting or bleeding since. They said that was normal. Some people experience it, even continue to experience spotting on a monthly basis, like they would their typical cycles when they're pregnant. So I had not had anything like that up to that point, but it's a little scary. We got through it. I also started running into some heart issues around 23 and 24 weeks. So my workplace, I have to walk quite a long way from the parking garage to where my actual office is. And I like it. It's a nice opportunity to get some exercise. Thankfully, I work with some nurses as well. And there was one day where my heart rate was really elevated. It was like up in the 190s, and it stayed that way for about 45 minutes to an hour. It eventually came down slowly, but it stayed elevated for quite some time. So it's possible that, I overexerted myself, but that's a walk that I make every day. I had never had any trouble breathing or anything like that. In addition, there are 2 flights of stairs that I have to walk up after I make the trek from the parking garage. So, me overexerting myself was a possibility, but it just didn't seem very likely. And so my doctor ordered a series of tests, or not a series of tests, 2 tests, an echocardiogram and an EKG. Those came back perfectly normal. I've had a few other occasions where that happens. The doctor that I saw let me know that the primary purpose of my breathing right now is not necessarily for me to get oxygen. It is for me to get as much carbon dioxide as possible out. He was saying that, because of the walk, I might have gotten just a little bit overexerted, and possibly my body was just trying to work a little harder in order to expel any extra carbon dioxide from the more labored breathing I was having. I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of other people complain about that as well, that their heart does weird things during pregnancy. It has come and gone. It hasn't been as problematic lately. Like I said, I'm at 29 weeks now, today actually, and I haven't noticed really anything. I have been having the craziest dreams. Okay, so I technically could have put some of these in the last video, but at 16 weeks, it's amazing how Baby Center is like spot on with everything that you're gonna start experiencing. I believe it's week 16. It mentions how women start reporting just very vivid dreams, a very active dream life, if you will. And I am no exception to the rule. I have been having the craziest dreams. I've been having lots of dreams, that that are reminders of what a terrible mother I'm gonna be, which is really comforting. There are dreams of having the baby in a baby carrier and putting it on top of the car and then forgetting it's there and driving away. I had a dream that I went and I was just chugging margaritas, pina coladas with 2 of my friends while I was I looked 8 months pregnant in my dream. I was watching myself with my 3 friends, and I was just horrified watching myself. It's like I was watching someone else. And even my friends were like, should you be drinking pina coladas, when you're 8 months pregnant? And I was like, I'm fine. Where does this come from? I also had a dream that my dad was part of an interrogation team, and I was being held as a prisoner of war, and my own dad was getting answers out of me by ripping my nails out. My dad. Okay, and my dad is not violent. He's never abused me in any way. Why do we have dreams like this when we're pregnant? I, of course, had the dream that a lot of people report of my husband cheating on me, and I couldn't talk to him for a day. I couldn't talk to my dad for like a week afterward. I was so uncomfortable with that dream. I was really upset with him. So the last dream really freaked me out. My husband and I are both really light, fair-skinned people, and I had a dream that I gave birth to Tennyson, and she had this gorgeous caramel colored skin. And, you know, first of all, she was beautiful. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. This dark curly hair, beautiful caramel skin. And I just remember thinking in the dream, you are the most beautiful baby I think I've ever seen. Like, I just love you so much. And your daddy's gonna have some questions. So, I don't know where these dreams come from, but I could not face my husband. But I think I like came up with some excuse to lock him out of the room or something to be mad with him about, because I just couldn't face him. And I eventually owned up to it. I did. I asserted myself and owned up to it. And he thought it was hilarious. But I can't tell you what that did to my head. Just, yep. My belly is growing so fast. I feel like it took forever for people to notice that I was pregnant, and now it is highly noticeable. I think somewhere around 25 weeks it really became noticeable that I was pregnant, and from then on it's just been growing like crazy. My appetite has really increased. I'm actually waking up in the middle of the night now because I'm so hungry to eat. With that in mind, I have had one craving: raspberries. That's the first thing I go for when I wake up in the mornings. Speaking of waking up in the mornings, I have been giving into my Starbucks. So I actually found toward the end of that 5.5 months when I was so sick that if I had, 2 cups of coffee a day or a shot of espresso, that I would feel better. Like, it would help my nausea a lot. I was really addicted to Red Bull before this pregnancy. I quit cold turkey as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, and for a while I just tried to have no caffeine at all, and I really was just, stimulants do make us better cognitively, and for me, definitely I felt better when I had a little caffeine. So either just a couple cups of coffee, 2 cups is definitely my limit, or I'll go through Starbucks and I'll get a caramel macchiato iced. I'll get the grande, but I'll only have it with 1 shot of espresso instead of 2. So I have made that adjustment, and that's where I'm drawing the line. No more caffeine than that. I don't even drink anything like tea or Coke or any other caffeinated beverages. No chocolate if I do that in the mornings. So I'm really limiting that. I have cut down my hours at work. So I was working, I'm a therapist, I'm a mental health counselor, and I was working 4 days a week, 28 hours. And I had to cut that down. We just have so much going on at the house. Chad and I don't really have any family that live close by. We don't really have any friends that live like near to us that can help us out either. So everything that has to be done around the house is kind of up to us. We do have family that comes in occasionally and helps us, but day to day, everything's just kind of up to us. And I was getting just really not even exhausted from working so much. I was exhausted. I would have the weekends off, and I would use basically the first full day I had on the weekends after working to like recover from the work week, because it was just, I'm finding it so much more difficult as a pregnant woman. I don't know how women go their whole pregnancies while maintaining a full-time job, or even have that on top of having kids. My mom did that. I don't know how you do that, because it's so exhausting. And in addition, one area that I really saw it making a difference for me was anxiety. So let me start over again. I'm normally a pretty high-strung person who's prone to having anxiety. You know, I'm most comfortable when I'm in just a little bit over my head. It keeps me motivated. I like that, but of course, having that sort of mindset, having that sort of expectancy out of your everyday makes me more prone to, you know, high anxiety and getting overwhelmed really easily. And I just found myself getting so overwhelmed, even subconsciously. So, you know, I would do breathing exercises, and I would do some positive reframing, and I would really try to be mindful during the day of, okay, this is not really important, you know, this is happening. It could be stressful, but I don't have to react to it. You know, I can just stand back here and I can just watch it do its thing, whatever the situation is, and I can just let it be, and I can let me be over here. Because it's happening, I don't have to react to it. You know, I was really good about being mindful. However, the area where I began to say, okay, I need to set a healthy boundary here and take a break was when I started waking up in the middle of the night. I was having lots of night terrors. My husband said I didn't remember them, of course, but I did remember waking up several times and just panicking because of something really trivial. Like I had forgotten to order a rug that I wanted to order, and I was just devastated. And, you know, I'm waking up literally panicking at 3 o'clock in the morning because I had forgotten to order a rug. And even right now, even the next day, even 5 minutes after waking up, I would be like, why am I panicking so much? Like, this is not a big deal. It really just seemed that my body was holding on to a lot of stress that I was encountering during the day, and I wasn't, you know, letting it out properly. I will say I was not exercising enough. And it was difficult to do that because I was so exhausted from working. So we decided that I would, instead of work 4 days during the week, that I would take an additional day off. So I would work 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That way I'd have a day between during every work day during the week, just to pace myself a little more, give myself a little more of a break. And, you know, honestly, if it were me, I'd probably just suck it up and do it, but I know it's not healthy for Tennyson for me to be really cranked up and anxious. So we just decided that was best for us, and also for our marriage. You know, it's just, I have to take care of myself always, but especially right now when I'm cooking a baby. So that was something that was possible for us to do, so we did it, and it's worked out so well. Yeah, I have always made the assumption that women waddle toward the end of pregnancy whenever they're feeling a lot of pressure in between their legs as the baby's moving down and, you know, preparing for the whole birthing process. And I'm finding that that's not entirely true. I am definitely a waddler at times, quite often actually. I noticed it specifically around, I would say I'm week 29 now, week 26, 27, everything just got so very sore. In particular, there was like a nerve being pressed on my tailbone, and it made it really difficult and painful to walk just a normal walk. Only waddling, like walking to the side, was comfortable. So that's one reason I found to waddle. The other reason is the round ligament pain. Whenever I'm having round ligament pain in the front, it's definitely more comfortable to step to the side rather than to the front. So that's another reason to waddle. Just a little tidbit, I never thought about that before. That's just the things you learn when you're pregnant. I've noticed that breathing has gotten really difficult. This happened around week 26. No, it was before that, probably like week 24, 25. I noticed that breathing started getting really difficult, particularly at times when I'm unable to have like really good posture, even, you know, like riding in the car or something. I try to sit up so that my diaphragm can lift, and I can get more air that way. But sometimes it's just extremely hard, even if I practice good posture. I typically have pretty good posture anyway because I sang opera for quite some time. I know, a little tidbit. So I just got used to, you know, sitting up straight, standing up straight with my shoulders back, lifting my diaphragm, keeping it lifted throughout the day, even just for things like talking. But I've tried to sing some of the same songs I could sing before, and I definitely can't hold the notes out as long. I have to take more breaths. Breathing has just become pretty difficult. It's never the way that it was before I was pregnant, but sometimes it's better than others, and I think I figured it out. I've noticed that I will like start to get really short of breath and find it really difficult to breathe whenever I haven't had a lot of those stretching pains in a while. So if it's your first pregnancy, you have pains from where your uterus stretches, and also the round ligament pain. And so if I haven't felt those in a couple of weeks, that next week I'll find it really, really difficult to breathe. And as soon as I start feeling those pains again, which means that my uterus is stretching, creating more room for tension, I notice that breathing comes a little easier that next week after that. But as soon as I can feel that stretching happening, breathing does come a little better the next week. So if you have had any trouble breathing, don't worry about it too much. I know one of my coworkers said that she actually saw a pulmonologist, and I have noticed a trend just for me that, you know, it does come a little easier. It usually only lasts about a week at a time, and then the difficulty breathing lasts about a week at a time, and then I get 2 good weeks of breathing. So my belly button has gotten really shallow. It's really shallow and really soft. The hair on my stomach is getting really long, and some of it is getting dark. So thankfully, I'm naturally blonde, very light blonde. So like the hair on my arms is clear, you can't see it. I mean, I really have to work with my eyebrows in order for you to be able to see those because they're clear too. But the hair on my stomach is getting longer, and I was like, well, at least it's clear, you know, it's not as noticeable. Some of them are getting dark. I've heard other people say that happens to them. I really don't like it. I don't want to look like a Sasquatch. I have had a couple of potty accidents. So I had trouble finding ultrasound pictures. I think they were misplaced. I'll find them eventually. I'm not going to panic. But Tennyson has been having her feet in my cervix a lot. I noticed this around week 22. Those beautiful feet are planted firmly in my cervix, and she gives me a good kick to the crotch, and whew, it's happened a few times already, and that's all I have to say about that. I do not like low-rise maternity pants. So in my last video, I showed the motherhood maternity pants that have the band that go up on the waistline. Unlike these are the Jessica Simpson line, and they are the low-rise. I thought, honestly, that I would really, really like these because I was like, well, I can probably wear them after pregnancy as well. The design is really cute. The low-rise does fit the tush a little more nicely, I guess because it's, you know, everything's not being just pulled up from the waistband. But all in all, I have to say that wearing them, I love the look of them, but wearing them just, is really not practical. They don't stay up, they constantly fall. Like the weight of my stomach just pushes them down. And I'm not really a fan. Some really exciting things happened this week, or on week 27, I'm sorry. I wrote this week on my notes because I was planning on making this on week 27, and here we are at week 29, but you know, here we are. So I met with the doula and with the birth videographer this week. I am so happy that I found them quickly. I'll be using Beloved Bits for a video, or for videography. She actually gave us a really sweet deal where she just gave us a package where we do the maternity shoot, the birth, and then the newborn photos, all with her. And she actually comprises a video of all of those separate videography sessions. She's going to be taking photography as well. But we knew that we definitely wanted a birth videographer. And so she's going to be taking care of all of that. And she said that she's going to put the video together that shows, you know, the before of me pregnant with Tennyson, then me having Tennyson, and then her as a newborn. And I'm getting butterflies just thinking about that. It's going to be so cute and so sweet. Chad and I are picking out our outfits for the maternity shoot, and I haven't been scheduling it up to this point because for a while I just wasn't looking very pregnant, and I wanted to look pregnant in my maternity shoot. Well, I'm finally looking pregnant, and I'm looking more and more pregnant way more quickly than I was before. So we're gonna really have to nail down a date soon here because yeah, mama's growing. I have this little spot that came up on my skin. My brilliant nurse friend, Libby, told me exactly what it was, and it was some very long, like 7-syllable word. But anyway, I don't remember what it was called, but it's basically like a little blood clot that comes up on your skin. I tried to like stick a needle in it, and it just bleeds forever and ever and ever. And so she recommended that I either go to a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon about it. I'm gonna try and do that, but she did say that they're more common during pregnancy, but due to the increased blood volume. So it's the strangest thing. It just looks like a little bubble with blood in it, and it's right up here. It really just aesthetically bothers me. One, because I'm not used to it, and two, because it has really the look in a picture, in a photo, of a pimple that is just constantly there. You know, you can't tell in a photo that it is not a pimple. And two, like even a pimple, I could cover up with concealer. This is just a different texture. Like makeup does not stay on it. You know, I have really good coverage, really good concealers that I've used all my life because I've always had skin problems, and they work wonders with covering up any sort of acne, any discoloration, any blemishes. This will not cover. Like any makeup you put on it just like literally slides off of it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but I'm gonna consult some sort of skincare doctor about that just to see what my options are. The good thing is that it's not dangerous in any way, so I'm really thankful for that. Speaking of skin, my skin has never been better. I mean, I know that I have this one little thing, whatever the heck it is, but other than that, I mean, my skin has been entirely flawless. I've always struggled with my skin, and if I don't have a pretty strict routine, I mean, it just falls by the wayside, and it definitely requires upkeep in order just to look presentable. I mean, my skin has always really been to the point that if I go in public, I'm not really comfortable going into public without some sort of concealer or something on, just because I typically have some sort of breakout or something. I have been wearing no makeup and loving every second of it. I was actually like, this is how the other half lives. Because I just don't even have to put makeup on, like no sort of concealer, nothing. My skin does not get oily. It does not have any unevenness. Like, I finally feel like I understand the glow that everyone's talking about. Oh, this is nice. A heartburn hit last week. So actually, if I had done this at 28 weeks or before 28 weeks, I wouldn't have even mentioned heartburn, but exactly at 28 weeks. So my changeover days are on Tuesdays. And exactly at 28 weeks, I started to experience heartburn. And it's just like it sounds. It's burning flames in your chest. And if you're already having trouble breathing, it makes it even more difficult to breathe. Like, you don't want to take full breaths because it's painful to do that. The last thing I really want to talk about is intimacy. So, it's just gotten strange. It's gotten really weird. I've heard that, you know, you learn to get creative whenever you're pregnant. I don't think we're that creative. Maybe that's part of it. But second of all, it just feels different. It feels very different. My husband said that as well. I spoke to one of my nurse friends about this, who's an OBGYN nurse, and she said, I was saying everything honestly just feels really compressed, not in a good way. And she was saying that it must be because of the direction in which my uterus tilts. So she said that some people, their uterus will tilt to the back, and some people, their uterus will tilt toward the front. And she said more than likely, what's making everything really uncomfortable is the fact that my uterus tilts toward the front. And then there's the additional weight of tennyson, you know, pushing down, and it's really compressing everything, and it's basically just like closing the door. That's what it feels like. Yeah, that door's closed. Last thing, I'm going to show the bump picture, and it has grown quite a bit since 22 weeks. It actually looks like a pregnant belly now, in my opinion. So view from the front, and then from the sides. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Other side. I cannot believe I have a pregnant belly. Anyway, okay. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video. I'm gonna try to post more often. I really hope that I can. If I can't, please forgive me. All right, see you next time. Please, but don't take away my 2 cups of coffee. Just don't do it. Bad idea. Ugh, I'm sorry, I burp all the time now. It's actually really annoying, when it's gross, nasty thing, but it's really annoying.